Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, hope you're doing alright out there. In this video I'm going to tell you how much it costs to actually get a motorcycle license. The actual cost it will cost you. Because it's the same for everyone, even though some people will say they've spent thousands of pounds on it. First things to say, as you may know, I've made many videos over the past 14 years to help people get onto two wheels. I have a playlist called Tips for New Riders, which has got everything from videos explaining the licenses and what you can do at different ages and how you progress through that, to how to physically do the tests, ride a bike, different parts of riding the bike from clutch control to slow control to all sorts of stuff. I spent a lot of time to make videos to make it easier for people to get onto two wheels if they don't have anyone to ask who also rides a bike. And it has helped hundreds of people get onto the road. However, as I say, how much does a motorcycle license actually cost? Because some people will tell you it costs thousands, and it doesn't. And it's putting people off biking when you say things like that. Interestingly, I did a poll on my Twitter recently, and I asked, what is it that's truly stopping you getting a motorcycle? If you wanted to get one, but what's holding you back? And I gave the options of the cost, fear of injury, theft risk, and how complicated the tests are. Only about 30% of people said that it was the cost that was the problem. 29 something I think it was percent said it was fear of injury, and the other two were spread out between the two. So the majority of people aren't put off by the costs. However, if you're reading out there that it costs you thousands to do it, it might put you off. And I'm here to tell you it doesn't cost that much. So I'm going to write out exactly what it costs you to do the motorcycle test and explain it bit by bit. Before we get going, there's a couple of bits I want to sort of make sure you're aware of. I will make a slight calculation error later in this video, sort of a guesstimate error, and I do correct it with text on the screen, so just make sure that you do look at the screen and don't just listen to the words I'm saying. The correction is there. The second thing is I'm talking about specifically going to a license, whether that be an A1, an A2 or an A. I'm not talking about the upgrade arc, as it were. So I'm aiming this as what license you're going to go and get now at your age. I don't believe anyone's going to go and get an A2 when they're old enough to get the full A. And I don't believe anyone's going to get an A1 if they want to go higher later, like an A2 or the full A. For reasons I get into my license video, but if I include that in this video, this thing is going to be 35 minutes long, and I know that's not what you want. So just be aware of those things, and if you've got any questions, ask them in the comments. So everyone and anyone in the UK that wants to ride a motorcycle is going to need a CBT, compulsory basic training. Now, this, depending on where you go, will cost different amounts of money. However, I've looked around, the average seems to be somewhere between 150 and 200. Yes, some of you will pay more, some of you will pay less, but we're going to work on an average of £175 for the CBT. That will allow a 16-year-old to ride a 50cc limited to 28 miles an hour, or if you're 17 plus, you can then ride 125, which has no limits apart from on power. That only lasts for 2 years at a time, and the entire idea of that is to allow you to be on the road to train to take your next license. So, you're moving on to the next licenses. This is the same for A1, which is a 125 license, A2, which is a restricted full license, and A, which is a full license. You have to do theory, mod 1 and mod 2 for all of them, and the price is the same. So the theory costs £23. Then you've got to do mod 1, which costs you £15.50, then mod 2, which costs you £75 on a weekday, and I think it's £88 on the weekends, but we're just going to do it like that. Now, a lot of people think that this is a money-making scheme for the government, so let me just point this out. £175, most of that goes to the school. These costs go to the DVLA centre, and that test centre has to pay for the instructors, their bikes, the hire, the facilities, etc., etc. The insurance when you're on site, that's not for the bike, for you, liability insurance, that's what you pay. And that doesn't seem too expensive to me, to be fair, does it? So the actual test fees is £288.50. This includes bike hire, these ones don't. You could get a bike van there and have it insured for the time and use your own bike to do that. If you've got a friend with a bike, they might allow you to borrow it, etc. You can just hire a bike for the day or half a day. Now, I've looked into this, and it seems like for mod 1, the bike hire for the day is about £150, and for mod 2, it's around 200. Now, to be clear, this is a 15-minute test, this is a 45-minute test, but you're going to have to ride the bike to the place and back. You've got to pay for fuel, you've got to pay for the insurance and stuff like that. This isn't too bad. This money's going to the schools. So if we include the cost of bike hire with the test fees, £638.50. That is how much a motorcycle licence costs in the UK, including bike hire, if you pass first time on everything. Now, obviously, that's if you know how to ride a bike. Now, for someone like me, I was on a CBT for 7 years, and when I did my full test, it ended up costing me £700, this including a CBT, and £13, which meant I spent, because my CBT was a bit cheaper than this, I paid £253.50 on the test fees and about 460 quid basically on bike hire and training, because the way I did my full test was I had a day's training, a morning's training, then mod 1, then about a week later I had a morning's training and mod 2, and I was done. As I say, I've been riding a bike for 7 years at that point, so he wasn't teaching me how to ride a bike or really how to use the roads. It was getting me sharp enough for the tests to not make any mistakes, get rid of any bad habits, and get me through that test. So as I say, I paid that much money to get mine, including the CBT. Now, I've always said this, I think there is a huge benefit in getting a 125 bike because it allows you to make mistakes at slower speeds, teach you about bike control, the use of the roads, and all that sort of stuff first. And if you do that, you'll probably find your end result will be more like what I paid. But I think we could safely say if you have a reasonable amount of experience, you pass on all of the tests first time, you will have change out of £1,000 to get your bike licence. And people say that that costs more than getting a car licence. I don't think it does. And I also don't believe that it is fair to say that your licence cost you £4,000 if you spent this much on the tests and 3 and a bit grand on getting the training because you weren't up to standard. You had to learn. Maybe that's because you went straight from no bike to going for the 4A licence, or maybe you just need a bit more practice at it. Maybe some of us take to it more naturally. I mean, to be fair, as I said, not only have I been riding on CBTs for 7 years, I'd also been riding for a previous 10 years before that, plus since I was 12 basically, crosses and things on fields that taught me clutch control and gears and all that sort of stuff. Now, it obviously depends on what bike you get, what level you're at, what insurance level you get, where you live, where you keep it, as to what the bike and the insurance is going to cost you. But people say about gear costing them loads and loads of money. I would say, let's work this out quickly, helmet, you can get one for £150 that will be absolutely great. No problem at all. Fully safe, looks great, nicely built, no reason to spend much more than that. Jacket, I reckon around £150. Yes, you can spend more or less. Minimum of Kevlar jeans, not normal jeans, please. Honestly, I have the scars to prove you don't want to do that. Let's call that £120. And boots, £120. Gloves, around £50. So what we're looking there, £300, £420, £540, £590. So £1,000 for the tests and fees and hire and all that sort of stuff, plus about £600 on gear. You're talking about £1,600. Now the only next thing is the bike that you choose to get and the cost of insurance. That obviously depends on what bike you're getting, what level you're getting it at. But if you're getting a 125, if you go and get as your first 125 a £4,000 sports bike looking thing, something which is well known for being stolen, stuff like that, expect to pay a lot more on your insurance than say an older Honda CBF or something less exciting. The thing is, you will learn nearly as much on that less exciting bike for a lot less, but you'll still get all the lessons. And then when you come to sell it, you don't have to worry about losing as much money, you're not paying the same on insurance. You know, you've got all that benefit that will also save you money in the long run because you've had all the training from this to help make sure you can come in under budget on here. Again, as I say, the only way I can see you paying £4,000 to get your bike licence, if you truly just mean the licences, is a ton of training. And obviously if you're paying like £150, £200 a day for training, that's going to get really expensive versus having a 125, you know, for 730 days, you know, a couple of years of it, that will give you so much training compared to what you'll be paying here. So there you go, there are the facts of what it would take for you to get a license if you were a perfect rider or if you were experienced enough to just get it through it first time. No retakes, no tons of training. As I say, I had 2 days over 3 worth of training, and the third day was half and half for my tests. If you require 7 days training, you're going to pay for 7 days training. It's just the way it is. There you go. If you like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here, and if you want to support this channel, please consider doing that through Patreon or YouTube memberships. There are other ways to support this channel through links in the description if you have a look. Otherwise, good luck to you, get a bike if you want one, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.